All right. So my name is Ankit Deer. I am the vice president of something we call the Greater Ocean County LaTip, and I'm a commercial broker. So one of the things I love about being a part of LaTip is that I have so many great professionals that are in my circle just from being a part of LaTip, and one of them, of course, is Cal. So Cal, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Appreciate you taking the time for this.
Of course, of course. So Cal, why don't you enlighten everyone about what you do?
All right, so the short answer is I do credit card processing. The long answer is I really do software sales where we take software integrated into your business to make you more functional, getting you paid quicker, easier, simpler, reducing downtime in one's business to make them more functional overall.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have some questions for you
Cool.
that I think a lot of people are going to be asking you. So let's get it out of the way. Let's put it out there on the internet, Instagram, everywhere
Sounds
where you're going
good.
to see
Let's
this
do it.
video. So merchants often talk about rates, and you'll hear things about 2.99% plus 10 cents per transaction. Does this encompass all their fees?
No, usually that's like the hook.
Okay.
For lack of a better term. 2.99% plus 10 cents a transaction. That's just what they're charging on the transaction. Most companies still have other fees, for lack of a better term, involved in that. What it really comes down to, and people should be looking at, is not necessarily that, but what's called the effective rate. So
Okay.
if a company doesn't provide you with a full statement of basically how much money you brought in on credit cards versus how much money they took from you, if they don't provide that to you, you should start asking some real questions, because you can take that number of how much you brought in on the credit card versus how much they took from you, divide it, and it'll give you what's called your effective rate.
Yeah, when you're actually getting charged.
What you're actually getting
Yeah.
charged. And then if you want to also add in the other fees that aren't necessarily on that processing statement of what they took for you, you might be
Yeah.
paying $50 a month for X, $70 a month for Y. You start adding all that stuff up, you realize your effective rate may actually be 5.5%. So I tell all businesses when they kind of say that to me, listen, have you actually dug into it to see what you're looking at? Because what you're thinking may not actually be true. Not that you were lied to. That's what you're getting, but that's not the whole story.
So are they like in the industry, they call them junk fees, or what do they call that?
A lot of times, yeah, they are junk fees. Sometimes they're not
Yeah.
just junk fees, but they're markups for things you don't necessarily need, use. They're extras. Hey, you should get this, and then you start asking. I'd start diving in, like, hey, how much do you? Okay, what's this fee for?
Yeah.
They're not really sure, so they'll go ask whoever they're working with. They'll come back. Oh, it's for this. Do you use that?
No.
And they're like,
Yeah.
no, I've never used it. I'm like, why are you paying for it?
So
Well,
you're
nobody's told me.
Well, you're one of those who's knowledgeable and transparent, so every one of your clients is actually going to get the straight answer instead of just saying, well, this is just a fee for that,
Yeah,
for a
I-
random fee.
I personally, I owned a small business. A lot of friends I own small businesses, even guys that are up to $25, $30 million a year. They get into a groove. They do things that works for them so they don't change. But I'm never going to steer them. The most important thing, I think, is being honest with people and steering them, even if they're making a ton of money. Hey, man, you're paying for stuff
Yeah.
you don't need, you don't use. There's no point to it. You're really just making whoever's on the other end of that transaction more money than they necessarily need to. And they're not necessarily helping your business in any way, shape, or form.
So you're not the only credit card processing person out there. You're far from it. There's so many different people that say they do credit card processing, and the market can be very saturated. So what do you think makes you different than your competitors?
I just touched on it. The fact that I owned a small business.
Yeah.
So I understand. A couple $1,000s can make or break you sometimes. You don't
Yeah.
realize it.
No,
Your
I'm
cash
right there with
strapped,
you.
Your cash flow is tight. So if I can save you a few $1,000s, great. And I think that's like the first part of it. And the thing that I think matters the most is your availability.
Yep.
Listen, I ran a small business. There's times at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I was doing things that involved business. Not even just
Yep.
like having people come through the door, but I was trying to figure out cash flow. I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay my guys next week. Somebody being able to answer the phone to assure them, yeah, my funds are going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's Sunday night and you're my client and I have you saved in my phone and I know who you are and you're not just calling me at a random whim,
Yeah.
I'm going to answer the phone. Some people would disagree with that. For me, when I ran a small business, I wanted to know that when I was calling somebody, that they were going to answer the phone.
It seems like a simple concept, but a lot of the times in this industry, you don't get anyone after 5 or a certain time. You don't try to calling them, and it's just going to be
Yes.
AI for someone answering you or a call center. I can personally attest to that. When I was having issues trying to figure out the system, you drove from where you were you had
Indeed.
sciatica where it was hard to
Yes.
get out of the bed. And what impressed me the most is that you drove there and you made sure you stayed with me until I got it.
Yeah,
And, there's no one really doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a level of service that, we grew up with, and that's how our parents probably saw what service was. But as the years have gone by, that level of service has disappeared. So I want to say the bar is super low, but that's an actual bar that you can actually, there's an actual
Yeah.
standard when it comes to working with you. And that's what I appreciate about you, because now I can refer you to other businesses knowing that they're not going to be left to dry. You know what I'm saying?
this phone number
Yeah.
is my same phone number since I've been in high school. I will still have landscape clients from when I had my landscaping business that will occasionally call me with something.
Yeah.
I still have them saved in the phone. I still answer the phone. Now, I'm not going to answer that one at 9 o'clock on a Sunday, but I'll still answer the phone and I'll give them the information that they need. I'll be like, hey, send me a picture. Yeah, I'll let you know what it is. Can it be fixed? So to me, yeah, that is key. It's key to doing business is being available to people and not leaving people out to dry. Don't just be transactional, because to me, it's not the right way to do things.
Definitely not. It's definitely about a relationship. That's the same thing in my business. We're talking about someone's biggest purchase or sale of their life.
Yeah.
They're going to want to know that they can actually reach you, especially when a lot of people are buying emotionally, not logically. And
Absolutely.
you need to be there to be given the logic, and also, just be that calming voice and not panic with them. So my last question for you today actually is something that I really wanted to know is, who's your ideal client?
I love.
What are you looking
like,
for?
I touched on it. I love working with field service guys.
Yeah.
Or gals for that sense. Anyone who's working with people, providing a service, I can relate to them. I've worked in restaurants all my life. I've owned a small business. So for me, anyone who's servicing clients, landscapers, HVAC techs. One of my best clients is an HVAC tech. You may actually talk to him later. I have a pool service. They have 1,000 customers in my pool service. If
Wow.
he calls me on a Sunday with an issue, I'm answering the phone. But anyone in that realm of doing service is who I ideally love to work with. I can work with restaurants. I can work with anything, really. I have software specifically, though, for HVAC, for plumbing, for landscaping. So those are my target niche.
So anyone really in the blue collar space, the people who work with their hands,
Absolutely.
they should be talking to you.
Absolutely. And those guys, oftentimes, they're in their business, so they don't necessarily have time to look at the finer details and be on their business. They're a lot of times in their business. So
Cal, you just proved again why you're my go-to guy when it comes to credit cards. A lot of business owners that I talk to, they're going to be getting calls from you.
Awesome.
So
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
your time, and looking to doing more business with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Angad.
No problem.
Appreciate it.